Agent X11 Hollywood Dark Journalist begins now. And welcome to another episode of Agent X11 Hollywood Dark Journalists. My name is Penny L.A. Shepherd. Oh, to be behind the scenes and a fly on the wall behind the scenes of Agent X11. The things that you will hear. This is Brian Singh Presents. This is his segment, Brian Singh, a.k.a. SolarBee. And my co-hosts are Joan Renee, Katie Bradley, Brian Bowden, and Terry Bradley as well. Welcome, everyone. We're going to be talking about disclosure. We're going to be talking about disclosure for a very long time because it is in our congressional halls. Tomorrow, David, on the Damn Straight Show, we'll be talking about the alien contingency perhaps within our own government. They are spilling the beans, talking about extraterrestrials, alien hybrids in underground bases, which that's what we've been talking about. Brian Singh's been talking about it. John Renee's been talking about it. Everybody's been talking about it. And now it's coming to the forefront. We also have this, which is, it's a new coin. You know, if anybody's going to put out that coin, that would be Trump, right? This is from Ross Coulthart. He says, I can confirm the commemorative coin story. I heard the same thing. It does appear the administration is planning a limited disclosure, but will POTUS admit the full legacy UAP program? Doubtful. This is from Fringe. Jamie Walden says he received an intelligence briefing that UFO disclosure from Trump is a done deal, scheduled for as early as May. So that's why we're having these leaks right now in the government, starting in April. But one thing that's concerning me is the missing scientists. So I will be doing an expose on that. And, the things that I have on the board today are the Kandahar giant, which y'all know about, right? And there's I have an intro to this, but I'll read you the first statement. This is from Jesse Michaels, and he's doing some prolific stories on so many different things. He says a C-130 pilot claims he transported a 10 to 12 foot, 1,100 pound red-haired humanoid giant from Kandahar to Bagram in 2005. A military team had found it eating a dead soldier near a cave with the rest of the surrounding soldiers dead. The second team killed the giant and was responsible for its transport. The body was airlifted out of Afghanistan in a large pallet and taken to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, where it may still be held today. Multiple independent witnesses have corroborated this event. Timothy Alberino is a field researcher and author of Birthright. He spent 10 years in Peru, made multiple research expeditions to Sardinia and Afghanistan adjacent source networks, and has spent decades synthesizing eyewitness testimony from abductees, military personnel, and indigenous communities across multiple continents. This episode covers what the Book of Enoch and other myths mean for modern UFO disclosure, the Kandahar giant retrieval as documented through a verified C-130 pilot, the Gray Alien Hybridization Program as compiled by David Jacobs at Temple University, Alberino's personal investigation of the 2023 Peruvian face peeler attacks. That sounds lovely. In the Alto Nanay region, the mystery school lineage and its effects on UFO research, and the religion he believes is now being assembled in real time. I have a short, but does anyone have any comments before I play the short? No,
I think we're ready to see what you got.
Okay,
Yep.
So this is a short. There's a much longer one, which we may get into in further disclosures, but here's just a little bit of a short on that.
There was an age in which the gods were dwelling on earth among men. And those beings came from somewhere. The human species was originally created, designed, intended to be a member of the divine family.
This is an archetypal myth that cuts across a lot of regions and cultures.
It's universal.
So we have these watchers that came down. They were extraterrestrial. They mated with man. They created Nephilim. And then we have evidence that a lot of this actually holds astronomical weight in the ancient world.
There are ruins of an ancient civilization on the planet Mars, specifically in the region of Cydonia. And what's so fascinating about this is that the ancients believed that the gods descended from Mars. We can understand the modern phenomenon in light of the Book of Enoch.
Hearing about the Book of Enoch, and it sounds a lot like Prometheus, where you have titans who try to give mankind sacred knowledge.
So these were very, very intelligent beings, probably in possession of what I would describe as advanced aerospace technology. I myself have seen a UFO right above my car. And this thing just descended and just hovered there like I was supposed to see it. That is some top secret.
Speaking of evidence of Nephilim and this whole narrative, you're one of the few people who has gone deep on this phenomena of giants.
The story that has since become known as the Kandahar Giant. This is where it begins. He was a cargo pilot, and he would describe these missions as classified. I mean, one day he's flying in there. They said, this never happened, no pictures, don't ever talk about it. He sees a forklift bringing over an air cargo pallet, and there's something on it. And he said the first thing that hit him was the odor, like BO and death. The hair of this being was red, the skin was pale. He said it had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot. And he said this thing was solid as a rock. So you can imagine, let's say it was 12 feet tall, the whole thing weighed 1,100 pounds.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my short. So does anyone have any comments about this particular? So
yeah, all the descriptions there clearly point to it being what's referred to in the Bible as a Nephilim. The height, the 6 fingers and toes, and the red hair. And my understanding from our community is that those are Anunnaki beings who, going back at least to Atlantis, if not before, came here to hijack the experiment of humanity. And they would interbreed with humanity and hybridize us and enslave us and eat us. And what we're seeing in Afghanistan these days are the long descendants of those Elohim Anunnaki, but who have devolved. Not only have they gone native by interbreeding with us, but they've devolved technologically, spiritually, culturally. And just like here in northern Nevada, we have the Lovelock Caves, at least the one Lovelock Cave where they had red-haired giants that the Paiute tribes burned out and killed because they were so tired of being cannibalized by the local giants coming out of the Lovelock Cave. And that was only like within maybe the last 200 years here. And I believe many of the Anunnaki have since either gotten off planet, they've gone further deeper underground, or they were kind of like the hillbilly contingent that got left behind. And that's what we're seeing in places like Afghanistan, and also what we saw in the Lovelock Cave here.
Yeah, that was supposed to have been wiped out during the flood, Noah's flood, but a lot of them weren't. There were some that survived.
Yeah,
some survived, and you don't know the actual biology of these creatures, what they can do. Some people go to a hyperstasis, hibernation, and they can hibernate for a long period of time. I don't know about the connection to the Anunnaki as much, but I literally had a conversation with someone who had a vision, not a dream, an experience in a vision, and they met some aliens, and they said, Jesus is an alien. I'm just paraphrasing. So, and your God is one of many gods because there's a lot of different cultures. And I mean, they're all part of this, I guess, extraterrestrial alien agenda. But I do believe that we were created as taking the best from a variety of different beings, or someone did that unbeknownst to whoever really wanted to make the slave race. And we have never lived up to our potential because the reptilians come down and enslave us. All these, the Anunnaki, all of it takes place. So we're never allowed to open up our consciousness and really go, oh, wow, we really are the bosses here.
Yeah, Brian, on that, when you're talking about the biblical part of it, in Genesis, it doesn't say God said, I will create man. He said, let us make man in our own image. And that gets glassed over because when we talk about the one God, nobody can really describe what that is. And probably the closest thing is to refer to it as source, or the source of all life, or that point in the different hierarchies where the love is pure, not the attraction love, but the love that creates life to begin with is pure, and all things exist within that vibration of love. So it's really difficult to determine exactly what God is. And because of the vision in the Bible where God came down with the woolly hair and the robe and stuff, which was a vision, a lot of the atheists refer to that as, I don't believe in the woolly haired God in the sky. So you've got that. And then the other thing is when you're talking about the Kandahar giants and not just the hibernation, but don't they have a very long life compared to us? I'm just asking.
They do. They've been around for hundreds of thousands, millions of years. They just, if you're taking the elements of a god and one of them, and you're mating with a human, clone or whatever creation, they take on some of that attributes of how long these gods can exist. We forget that if you look, it's coming out, a lot of imagery is coming out of mountains and tree stumps and stuff that are like ginormous. Again, Devil's Tower, tree stump. Someone had to cut that down. And the Nephilim, or the Nephilim, they're anywhere from 10 feet up to 50 feet tall. I mean, there's a variety of different, sizes. And I don't know if that plays a hierarchy in their, central zone or not, but we're missing so much because there are individuals that want to hide it from us.
Have any of you been to Moab or gone to Moab or studied anything about that area? Because that was such a mystery to me. We went there and I could not explain what I was looking at. We do know that they had dinosaurs there. They have the remnants of that. But I'm kind of wondering if there wasn't a civilization because of the rock forms are so weird. You'll look at a mountain and you're driving toward it and you go around the sides and it's only as thick as a wall.
Well, I've heard people talk about seeing energetic signatures of cities in places like Sedona being in the rocks. People saying if you could look higher dimensionally, you'll see cities there and ET civilizations. Going back to the Anunnaki, I believe it's John Whitberg who says that the original unhybridized version of them, they look more like the engineers from the Alien series, like Prometheus. Like they're tall and white and muscular albino beings with like dark black eyes. And then what he said is that's like more their original form coming from Nibiru. And then the ones who hybridized with humanity, then they became more looking like the redheaded giants we are more familiar with down here, where they're more of a darker tan. And he says that those are referred to as the Creole Anunnaki. They're the Anunnaki who went native. They came down here and hybridized instead of staying their more original, pure, pale genetic lineage.
So genetically for humans, it is actually like more prevalent to have red hair. We are supposed to have 6 digits. There is and 6 toes. I don't know about the double row of teeth, but everything that these giants are what is basically the main genetic makeup of humanity. And then you have the defects that get you into the blondes and the brunettes. And I mean, I know someone has an extra toe on their foot. And it wasn't because, the egg didn't split or whatever. It's
Mhm.
that's what they're born with. So
Are
sometimes
they
that
are they Rh negative?
I don't know if they're Rh negative, and to be honest, I mean, throughout my research, I don't believe the Rh is a factor as much as how rare, well, your blood type. I think the blood type alone is really important. Now, I am always looking for more research, and I'm willing to correct any of my research and my patterns. But I think a lot of people put that Rh out there, and I think that's like a dog and pony show, smoke and mirrors, to pull you away from what's really, really important. You're like an O. There is more use for you as an O than if you're, AB or whatever.
True
So
that. It's
yeah,
a
it's more
universal party paper.
exactly. And you can only get from an O. You know, that's called, the rarity of it is what's really important in my opinion, but I could be wrong.
Oh, I've got a little bit on that one, on the blood types. We have the recessive and dominant genes. And my thing is that I think this is what I believe is that if you have the abilities that seem to come along with being negative, if you have that as a recessive gene, you still have the ability to have the psychic abilities and things that an O neg or a Rh negative person might display compared to everyone else. The difference is that when you remove that Rh factor, there are other physical factors that show up, like, for instance, typically lower blood temperature is one. It can be up to 2 degrees lower than the 98.6 of the average person. And that's one of the things. And then the other one is that a little bit more ability to have that psychic connection. But that if you have the recessive gene, which means you can still be an Rh positive, you can still have that psychic connection. You just have to have that in your DNA. So it's to separate out, if you're Rh negative, you're automatically psychic. That's not necessarily true at all. It goes across the board when it comes to those abilities. But that's what I found. And the universal donor, our O positive universal donor to all Rh positive people. The O negative is universal donor to everyone. And what they like about that is it's very easy to make the plasma for newborn babies when they have to get, incubate them or whatever. That's when the Rh negative comes into play, where they absolutely want you to come in every time you've passed your waiting period for the next blood transfusion.
Yeah, they want you. It's very interesting. I mean, I don't know Brian's take on it, but I was talking recently with someone who's going through memories, and their mother or their grandmother was involved in the Rife machines, and she said, "What do you know about the GATE project?" And they're talking about gifted and talented. And I remember growing up when we were given tests, and those weren't your hearing tests to hear. They were trying to find the people or the individuals that possess these abilities that they're aware of. And I remember hearing, like, when you heard something at a frequency where you should not normally hear it.
Mhm.
And this goes back to what Brian and his good friends that are super soldiers. It's basically finding super soldiers that were unaware they're super soldiers, and they're only like, kindergartners. Like, yeah, I hear it.
Mhm.
And then they put you in a different area, or they treat you. Gifted and talented has totally been bastardized. I think they also did that again when they were swabbing for the COVID. That wasn't to see if you had COVID. That was taking your RNA, DNA, and finding out who the hell you really are, because we have a whole bunch of extraterrestrials and others that are walking around in society publicly. They're very brazen now. They don't care, and they want to know who's who.
Absolutely. I'm going to play a short video about disclosure, which is happening right now in our capital.
That's actually not what Burchett said.
I don't have the tinfoil hat on just yet, Congressman, but I'm wondering, kind of how you react to that, because you are connected. You're on the UFO subcommittee. I mean, I'm just wondering what you make of that. Have you heard anything like that?
Well, I'm still a member of Congress, so I can't really comment too much on what Matt said. But I will say this.
Wait, seriously? Are you being serious, or is that
I'm being 100% serious?
Okay.
I've been 100% serious. I've been briefed by just about every alphabet agency there is. And I'll just tell you this. If they would release the things that I've seen, you would stay up. You'd be up at night worrying about or thinking about this stuff. We just need to disclose it all. I'm sick of it. Well, I was briefed. I'll just tell you this. I was briefed last week on an issue, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago. And it would have set the earth on. This country would have come unglued, I think, if they would have heard all that I heard. They would demand answers.
Okay, so what? So yeah, this is being discussed in mainstream. Okay, we've been talking about it for years, but now it's being discussed in mainstream. So David Jacobs is he spent decades as a tenured history professor at Temple University, interviewing hundreds of abductees under relaxation protocols. His final book, Walking Among Us, documented what he called personal project hybrids, or hybrids, like human hybrids, the most advanced generation yet produced by the Gray breeding program. These are human alien hybrids, now indistinguishable from ordinary humans. They retain the telepathic capabilities of the Grays. Their loyalty is entirely to the Grays. Female abductees were being assigned male hybrids and required to tutor them in basic civilian life, grocery stores, driving, appliances, public behavior. Jacobs described the hybrids as psychopathic. That would explain my last two husbands. They abused and manipulated the woman assigned to them, exercised complete psychological control, and treated them as subordinates. Jacobs named the end game plainly: planetary acquisition by stealth. Thoughts? Brian?
Anybody?
Yeah, well, okay. So basically, we know these programs have been going back at least to, I believe, the 70s. And I think it wasn't a David Jacobs, but it might have been a Dan Jacobs, who was talking about some of the programs that communicate with them. There's also the book Rachel's Eyes, which is about a blind or sight impaired, not 100% blind, college student who was paired with a woman named Rachel, who apparently was a young, an adolescent human ET hybrid.
That's funny. That's my sister's daughter's name.
Yeah. So, and the name of that book is Rachel's Eyes. And Rachel, it turned out, at the end, and I think it was in the 70s, for her trial period, was deemed a failure and was eliminated because she wasn't able to pass as human in the general population. But let's say that's back in the 70s, and here we are now, 50 years later. They've obviously gotten a lot better. And then it's very concerning to note that the males that they were paired up with were psychopathic. So that tells me that this is one of the more negative gray ET human hybridization programs involved with our military, unfortunately. And there's a lot of different hybridization programs. There's not just the one. And there's Galactic Federation types with their own star seeds doing hybridization. Everything to preserve their own cultures and genetics to, in this case, it's more of a sinister takeover.
Yeah, and when you're talking about grays, we got to be very careful because there's different types of grays. There's the little grays, which are clones or extraterrestrial biological entities that are the ones that are about an 80 IQ, dumb as a rock, but they're the worker bees. They go in, they have the ability to go through material, pull you out, vibrate you at the same frequency you can get through. And then you have
80 IQ? At 80 IQ? Because my last handler, he was 60 IQ. So
well, I mean,
maybe he was
they're not the smartest, max 80 IQ, whereas you have the tall grays, which I like to call the ambassadors, and they can be real nasty. They are super intelligent, really high IQ. And there's a video that has been circling the last couple of years. I got it a decade ago, of a tall gray talking to a gentleman who's in South America outside, and he's pointing like this is like usual thing, and it becomes a usual thing when you have interactions with these creatures. But that tall gray, official business. And then, like Brian said, you have others. You have light beings. You have interdimensional beings. You have a whole variety of different species that have their own reasons for these breeding programs. A large portion are trying to replenish their own population, which they've destroyed through a variety of means. And then there are some that like, well, Earth has all this good stuff. We want these people. They're trying to take over the planet. It's not like really black and white. And anybody that says it's black and white, I mean, I don't believe they are aware of how vast this program is. I have people on my friends list, not going to mention, they are hybrids. And some of them go back to the Anunnaki. And it's been proven. I'm not going into the full details because that gives away too much information. But I always question stuff. They know partially what's going on. But it's really strange what's happening here. It's not just the little grays or the grays. It's the problem.
So let me run
many shades of
Go
gray.
ahead, Terry.
Yeah, we've got Dulce in New Mexico, based there. They have quite an underground experimental project going on there with hybrids. Also, yes, Patterson Air Force Base. Also, there is an underground base in Santa Fe or Albuquerque, New Mexico, where they have actually time travel going on there.
So, So, Brian, I have a question for you, and I just want to see if you've heard that, because we had the congressman saying that if they knew what was happening, there'd be an uprising. And what I've heard now, it's not been validated because this information isn't officially out.
Right.
But after World War II, when we had Project Paperclip and we got all those scientists, that our government made a deal with the subterrestrials for their technology in exchange that they could experiment or have 16 million involved in their efforts. So basically sacrificing 16 million people over time for the program. And this is what I'd heard, and they have violated that, but we have gotten the technology, and that a lot of the technology that's being reported as UFOs is actually ours from that treaty. Now, how far off is that from your information?
My personal information, you're using numbers that we can't really quantify, whether it's 6, 16, 30, 100 million, a billion people. There was a deal made. It was not made by Eisenhower. It was made by Majestic 12. They had no clue what the hell they were doing. That's why when he was up there and he warned you about the military industrial complex, he's telling you there's a government within a government. Be careful what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah, and as far as technology is concerned, 1 second, it's kind of like if you took a modern day Corvette and you put it up against the technology of a Yugo when we were in a Model T. Like that Yugo would be like, wow, that's sweet. But it's minuscule to the tech. It's like it's a toy compared to what's out there right now. But we have recovered some other crap. We're being very resourceful in back engineering and then understanding the concepts behind it at this point and creating weapons that help bring down higher end craft. And now we're then taking that information and using it. I mean, a great example of this type of technology is Ghost Murmur. When they found the pilot down in Iran,
Yes.
isolating his heart signature, and just think about that concept for a minute. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I'm looking for the ghost murmur thing because I actually had it in today's show.
During COVID, I used to say the reason why they want you 6 feet apart is because they haven't fine tuned it where they didn't know if it was like, is it Brian sitting there or is it Joan? Which one's who?
Right.
Guys, stay 6. Okay, now I got your signature. Now I know you're a 443. Joan, you're a 7-8.
And then after
My
that, we
question-
could be closer. And you could, after they get our signature, then we could be closer. Is that what you're saying? And they'd be able to
Be as
identify us?
close as possible because it's trained to block out any background noise and it's trained to target specifics. It's really unnerving and scary. You want to forget the ETs. The fact that the government has this technology and can pick out each and every one of us wherever we are, no matter if we're on land, up in the air, or 3 miles under the water, and they know exactly where you are, that's a problem for me.
What
Okay,
did they do?
Yeah.
Here's my
Okay,
question.
go ahead.
What did they do with 23andMe? You know?
That's simple. It's all these. I've done those. The markers of DNA, and I found out I was fucking 100% awesome. But no, I wouldn't do it. You don't do it because what's happening now is originally it's not so that you find out like you're 10% Irish and 15 Mongolian, whatever. It is to track you and know exactly who you are. And then they sell the information because they're only giving you a smidgen of what is going on with the world. Now they sold all the information about you to your insurance company and they go, you're prevalent for cancer. Boom, boom, boom. We're increasing your premium $1,000. Think about it.
Precisely. Now I have a question. Okay,
sure.
is it possible, because I had to watch a lot of X-Files. I watched, 11 years of X-Files, and then my husband died because my husband looked like David Duchovny. And when he died, that was the end of the TV series. Just noting that happened. So is it possible that the phrase New World Order is actually engineered by people from another world, from another planet, that they're actually running, that they are the covert faction that is running our government? Here's the proposition. Is it also possible that the eradication of the individuals that now reside on the planet, they want us gone so that they can move into their new house? Because they said, there's only a certain amount of humans that we want on the planet. Is it possible it's actually an extraterrestrial faction that's saying that? And then also, are they terraforming Earth? Because we're watching, are they the ones, the actual New World Order ones? Are they the ones that want mankind eradicated, that want no borders, that want to terraform the world? Is that what the proposition is? Because essentially in the X-Files, which 90% of the X-Files are true, in the X-Files they are terraforming the Earth. How did the X-Files know that we would have a virus and like the year before? They also talked about the aliens being part of our DNA, like originally, like we're part alien, everyone's part alien. So, and we would call that like soft disclosure, but it's actually really hard disclosure. And Chris Carter wrote with the CIA. He also wrote, John D'Souza said that he did a couple of X-Files. And I said, they're all true because I actually went back and researched a lot of them. Its premise was xenotransplantation. So the X-Files was opened on a wiki case of xenotransplantation, which is a transplantation of genetic materials from one species to another, like in the movie Splice, right? Or alien human hybrids. That was the premise. And then they didn't know what to do with that. These were all the X-Files were open from governmental operations that were ongoing, and they didn't have any place to put xenotransplantation, so they put it in the file cabinet under X. Then they realized, hey, there's a lot of room in here. So they had more and more things that were going on that they could not explain, and they all went in the file marked X in the file cabinet. Hence the X-Files. So my question is, and this is to all of you, is it possible that the phrase New World Order is perhaps engendered by some nefarious people from or entities from another world, right? We want a new world order, and it's going to be our order. Hence, we see these walking orders, which we're like, we're not for the eradication of humankind. We want to see the proliferation. So those are my questions. Is it possible? Katie.
Well, I'd say yes. Blanket.
Okay.
Blanket.
Terry?
Yeah, funny thing, you talk about X-Files. Scully, who's in X-Files, was born on my birthday in the same hospital that I was born in. So that's kind of spooky for me.
A little.
I love the series, though. I love the series. Yes, I believe that wholeheartedly. Yeah, that there's another entity that's been around here a long time. They just want to come up. Actually, they don't care if they come up on ground or not. They've been living underneath the earth, within the earth all this time.
But now, is that the reason for, Terry, the creation of the hybrids so that they can breathe the air and they can now come above ground and because they're already here. They're already living in and amongst us.
That's right.
That's a question I have. Joan Renee, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Well, when you're on the exterior and you're trying to get little bits and pieces, we know that half of the information that we get is probably not quite on the money, but we're getting close. And so what I'm about to say is not that it's not gospel, but it is one of the theories, and that is human beings can only, once they go down 8 miles into the surface of the earth, they can no longer survive. These entities can go further down than that, but they have an issue coming up to the surface. The hybrid program is basically to bridge that gap so that not only can they come up to the surface, but can also go down further. And the rumor is that because these are not good entities, as the Bible says, Satan was sent to hell and, below. The rumor is that the extraterrestrials are helping eradicate them now, but that is only a rumor that I have heard, and I don't really know for sure. But I'm going to ask Brian Singh if he's heard anything about that.
Yeah, I mean, regarding all this, I'll say it goes way, 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 way back to the reptilians and the Anunnaki hijacking the human experiment, and apparently eventually sometime thousands and thousands of years ago, the Galactic Federation types came down and they said to the reptilians, at least, you need to not be seen by the humans anymore, and they went underground. A lot of the reptilians who stayed on Earth, but they found ways to kind of find humans who would do their bidding. So even though the reptilians were hidden, they could find proxy humans here on the surface to move humanity down a negative timeline. And that's the reptilians disappearing underground. And then the Anunnaki, it seems they may have taken off for a while and then they came back or something. And then they and the reptilians have been kind of hand in hand, along with negative Orion Greys, ETs, to exploit humanity. And then on the other side of that, you've got the Galactic Federation types doing what's known as the Starseed Envoy program or Ambassador program. And it's basically all hinged on the karmic concept of you can't come to a situation like the Earth and affect it from the outside and expect you to not have any karmic negative ramifications. Okay, because you're altering from the outside, you're imposing your will. However, if you have your own people incarnate on the planet as human, then you're literally putting skin in the game. At that point, the more skin in the game you have, the more you're able to influence what happens here on Earth without dealing with any of that karmic backlash, universal law stuff.
So
Okay.
when they send someone in to have the human experience, then are they the same as us where we start out and we have to find why we're here? We don't automatically know
Well, it's a little bit,
necessarily.
I think it's a little bit different. I think your run-of-the-mill human is here to be a human and to
Mhm.
evolve as a human. And then your starseed human is coming from a slightly more wise and advanced place with the job. It looks like, is that like a blood type chart?
No, it's
But
an
is it-
alien human versus alien human, and this is one of the breeding reasons for the
Hybridization.
breeding program. If alien and aliens come together, you get AA. This is what you want. They want ultimately, and you can whatever. It
Right.
could be reptilian, right? If reptilian and humans breed, you have more reptilian than human. If humans and reptilians breed, you have more human than alien, and then eventually you get human. This is something they teach you in basic science, elementary school. And this is the process to start getting those beings, with the earth experience, adapted to the earth experience and breeding out so that they are the seed for the next generation, third generation, fourth, and go forth.
Right.
This is why they're doing what they're doing.
And all these different groups, they have these different agendas because some want to interbreed with humanity to so that they can take over the earth. Some want to do it because they want to restore their own virility. And then others want to do it because not so much of a takeover of the earth, but they see that the natural evolution of humanity will involve interbreeding with some of our closest ET cousins. And it's like a give and a take. A lot of our ET cousins are physically frailer, but they're much more mentally intelligent and psychically smart. And some of them are a lot more long-lived. Okay, so the trade-off is that, I kind of see it as almost like humans crossbreeding with elves. At the end of the day, there will probably be a lot of desirable things that come out of that. I mean, it would be nice if we're all more psychic and live longer and we're healthier, right? In a lot of ways. And then at the same time, it really depends on the program and the agenda. And there's so many, even within the abduction community, there are many people who their abductions have been incredibly hostile and traumatic, and those sound like more of the reptilian or military abductions. And then there are ones that are neutral, and even though they have horrible aspects about them, and sometimes even painful aspects with like the medical stuff, it turns out that those breeding programs and hybridization programs are actually friendly.
Right.
And yet it's traumatizing to the person in the while they're going through it, but at the same time that person has a soul contract and they volunteered ahead of time before incarnating into this life to go through this to assist whatever ET grouping to hybridize with humanity. And so it doesn't have to be nefarious. And then there are groups, it seems like these programs that they pose as being good for humanity, but they're really saying that to then win your trust and cooperation, but they're really more on the replacement of humanity side. And so you've got this whole wide spectrum, and there's a lot of confusion across the board because people tend to try to shoehorn it. The ETs are good and they want to help us. But then these experiences clearly don't seem to match that, and they don't have that wider understanding.
I have two subjects I'd like to bring up real quick. One, Epstein breeding program, right? He wanted to infiltrate humanity with his own sperm. So was he actually involved with an ET faction? And then the other one is telepathy. So we're told that we don't have telepathy, but we do, right? And every time you hear of an intervention with some kind of an entity, gray or whatever, they don't speak, their mouth doesn't move, they utilize telepathy. And we're also talking about synthetic telepathy, which they're actually saying that that they can implant this synthetic telepathy within you with a microchip or whatever. Let's just take it from a nefarious position and put it to this position, just a proposition I'm putting to you. If these nefarious entities communicate telepathically, but you don't, humanity is at a disadvantage. So if they gave humanity the ability, those of us that are, maybe some are already crossbred, but some that are not, that's human to human, if they gave humanity the ability to telepathically communicate, they would know war plans, etc. So I'm just throwing those two subjects out there. Anybody can pick up on it.
Telepathy is legit. I've seen it work in it usually happens with children and their mother.
Mm-hmm.
I was hanging out with a buddy of mine, a good friend of mine. We were about to go out and do things, and we left his room, and his mom was facing away from us at the stove. And he goes, "Yeah, okay, I'll be back a little bit later." And then I thought we were going to go. And he goes, No, I told you I'll be back. I promise. I'll take care of whatever. And I'm standing there watching this transpire. When we got outside, I go, "Are you talking with your mom?" He goes, Yeah, I was having a conversation. I said, "You're the only one who was speaking. Your mother didn't say a freaking word." But she did. And she earmarked it for her son. And he was responding to everything she was saying. This happens. I try this with my kids all the time. I don't know if Brian does it with his, and I could do reading. I could read people that come over. I don't need, I don't do it. It's your business. But when it involves my offspring, it's my business until my last breath. And I have yet to have that interaction I'm aware of with telepathic communication, but it is 100% an ability we all have. And on the dark side of this, they did use this technology first during the Iraq War. And they literally targeted all these Iraqi soldiers, dug into the deserts, speaking to them in their heads. You don't want to do this. Allah doesn't want to.
Put down your guns. Allah says, give up.
You saw them giving up. They were really disheveled. That's part of psychological operations. They do it with the Havana syndrome, but they could also amp it up with microwaves. It is really dangerous. But a lot of these people, if they're smart enough, like people in Russia, people in US, I think China probably does it too now. Remote viewers basically can lean into that conversation. I had someone who said, "Blue Kona, do what you do, Brian." And I did. And it's a program. If you've been following Disclosure, ATIP, and it's the tracking, they wanted to put into place a tracking of UFOs, extraterrestrials, and they're intermingling on the planet. But they said, no, we're not going to fund this. It's closed. Hell no, it's not closed. I was in the facility and I got caught by a gentleman that was in the control room. And it was a big room with like the TV sets, every part of this planet was being monitored. And he turned and looked at me and he said something, and everybody started to go into action. He caught me. He had 3 stars on his lapel. And it was like no other stars I've ever seen in my life in military insignia. But I also saw there humans and extraterrestrials working together. And so, it can be done. It's just
Brian Singh, tell us about Charles Hall, Area 52, and the Tall Whites, how they were able to communicate.
It seemed like, from what I understand is, from Charles Hall and his partner, his wife, their testimony, he was stationed, I believe, at a missile range, and then he had increasing encounters with I don't know if it was like a Nordic type ET, because he helped recover one of their children who got lost at the Air Force base or the missile range one day, and then that helped him establish a rapport with these tall whites. And then, there are a lot of people in the secret space program community who talk about seeing tall whites at Montauk, Camp Hero Air Force Base during the Montauk projects, or out in space on some of the ships, or in some of the other deep underground military bases. And I'm not sure if that program is, neutral, positive, negative, or a mix of all of that. But it seems like in being able to establish the rapport, that's partly why he was selected, or why he had so much interaction with these ETs, unlike other humans, is because he was able to establish not just a psychic telepathic rapport, but also more of like an emotional rapport. And what he talks about how is when it comes to telepathy, your feelings become very, very important. And one of the things that ETs apparently have in communicating telepathically with humans is that humans, we're not able to control our emotions as well. So if I'm angry about something else and then I'm communicating with an ET telepathically about just whatever I'm dealing with them on directly, but I still have feelings of anger and aggression about this other thing. If that leaks into my telepathic communication with this ET, that can be misconstrued very, very negatively.
But they fly in, actually. They use Area 52 as a stopover spot, right? They don't live underground, right?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think some of them might be stationed at some of these places, and so they're probably on the military base, whether it's above or underground, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the agendas behind telepathy, we already mentioned the two main ones. There's the synthetic machine-driven telepathy, and then there's more the actual universal language telepathy. And the positive ETs, such as the Ponti, they kind of look like short grays, but they've got human-like eyes and slightly more human faces than your normal gray. They're in touch with people like Sue Walker out of New Mexico around the Sandia mountain range. And they've been telepathically communicating with her for years now, and they've been encouraging her and her partner and her friends to help bring telepathy 101 to humanity. So one of their missions of these Ponti Greys, who have a scientific outpost in the Sandia mountain range, is as part of, I believe, the Galactic Federation groupings and council groupings. They're here through friendly humans trying to.
Oh, I think
Did you just freeze?
He did.
Oh, good
Now,
God.
we know it must have been important, whatever it was.
Only joking, Brian. Something before he comes back, if you've known throughout history, if you've ever seen some of these very important structures, the doors are really tall and the stairs are really tall. They're about at least double, if not triple the size of a normal human being. And that's because a lot of these giants and these tall, Nordics and whatever were part of our society. And it wasn't as mysterious or whatever. They were treated like ambassadors, or I don't want to say royalty because I don't know, I wasn't there, but with a lot more respect. And then something over time said, no, we don't want you interacting with anybody. And they disappeared. I think Atlantis is a perfect example of the beings from Atlantis, not of this earth, wanting to teach man about life and better things, alchemy, the whole thing. And they weren't allowed to. So they were bombarded by others who said, no, we told you can't do that. And that's why Atlantis burned or sank to the ground under the water. So, I mean, there's at one point, if I went back to the year 2000, we were thinking about like 150 type of species, extraterrestrials. My last conversation with a friend of mine, Derek, who just recently passed away, we guesstimated over 450 types of species that are known to humanity or people on this planet. So, I don't know what's going on, but and I've had missing time and I can't tell you what happened and I don't want to know. But if I do have extraterrestrial children, I would love to have their social security numbers and claim them on my taxes.
Yes, and also some people don't understand my obsession with a certain watch, or why I always have to wear a watch that's running. The watch that I have has a date. It has a date on it, and it has the day on it. And I also have had missing time.
Yep.
And this is why I need to make sure I have a backup watch and that I always have a watch on at all times. That's just coming from me, and people don't understand it, but that's actually why. Let me pull this one out.
I have to ask if oh, okay, so he disappeared. Brian, I thought maybe your clone was coming in too.
Yeah, weird technical glitch. I don't know why I cut out, but here I am.
You know what? When I was talking about something like in genre on public, and they booted my ass from the stream. They don't want if they don't want you talking about it, they'll shut you down, and they're monitoring. I would wager the farm that Brian everybody here has a nice folder, but certain people are like, oh crap, Singh's talking about it again. Cut him off. Cut him off. And they hit you with something. As it just happens, they don't want the truth to come out.
Did he
What
just
about
freeze
these
again?
underground bases?
He froze again.
It's fine.
Yeah.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah. What about these underground bases, Brian? Do you know anything about them? I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. I'm talking about underground water bases, I should say.
Oh yeah, that's everybody looks at the skies and stuff, but the USOs, unidentified submersible objects. I refuse to say UAP. That is a narrative by the government, and we don't, or the whatever state you want. It's UFOs. Okay, deal with it. And the only people that they want disclosure, and I'm sorry, but they've been ridiculed their entire life about believing in the subject, and they want that I told you so moment. Disclosure is here. It's coming this year. I was telling Penny and Joan, and you guys on Awake Nation through the prediction show for 2026. I saw the same craft hitting all these major locations, being on local news. Everybody recorded it. They are going to make themselves known this year. It doesn't matter what our government does or anybody else. And then you know what? They're forcing the issue. We're at that point where they don't like how the deeper state, the government is doing what they're doing. And they're going to say, no, we're here now. Mm-hmm. And then the shit's going to hit the fan, pardon the expression. But the underwater bases are all over the place.
Yeah, they have one off of Malibu, I know.
Yeah, they do. It's a pretty cool looking one.
Yeah.
Now, okay, you're talking about
it's 1 o'clock.
I just wanted to ask. You're talking about they're making themselves known, and we've noticed because there's a meeting that I go to, and anyone that has seen anything, they can go there and talk about it without being called crazy, and they're not going to lose their job, that kind of thing. That's and nice. The reports have increased dramatically, and they're very solid, and they're happening more and more around the military bases, even when those military bases are no longer active. But that kind of activity is still happening around them. And we've got Aerojet, McClellan, Mather, Beale, all in this area. And that's where the sightings are. All of them are around those areas. A lot of them. We're getting them in other places too, but those are where the significant ones are.
When I was in New York, we ran a monthly meetup 2 times a month. In the beginning of the month, that first Thursday, we would do it in Yonkers, New York, for people in New York City. And it was open to anybody who wanted to come, free form, a lot of people. And then we also went up to upstate New York. We had one of the members there. His name was John. I hope he wasn't married to you. A wonderful man. Well, I'm going to say he was a wonderful man. He was a very tall, blonde gentleman. And when I was doing a presentation on something, I watched him vibrate. And magically, I went over to my buddy and I'm going, check out John. He's like, what? I said, dude, just check him out. And he goes, oh my God, he's vibrating. I'm like, yeah. We've had Men in Black or government people go in there, and they've contacted my buddy about it. Like, that was a good presentation last night. I don't care. I'm speaking about it. I mean, who am I? Who are any of us? We're just talking about it. If, the real problem that we have today is all those scientists and physicists that are being murdered, unalived,
Yes.
whatever. That's
Mhm.
really unnerving.
Yes. Yes.
I have another video, and it addresses kind of Chris Bledsoe and Drew Banky, some of the things that he said. But this guy went out to actually physically be at the pyramids. He said he went very late at night. He was the only one there. There was one guard said, "Hey, you want to see what's going on?" But the end of it is a little, I was telling Joan about it. It's a little strange. So here's what he saw.
The Sphinx for the April 5th Star of Regulus alignment, the Chris Bledsoe prophecy, and I was the only one that was there. And I'm going to break down for you what happened, what didn't happen, and what I think it really all means. So I have screenshots, got a Stargazer app so that I could see what was happening in the sky. I was there for it. I was looking around. It was 4:40 in the morning. It was me, a security guard in front of the Sphinx, and maybe a couple of passerbys. Now, I travel to holy places all over the world, and so when something like this happens, I'm there for it. It is my job to be there. The security guard was like, "You want to come in?" Because there was nobody there. There was no security. There was no people. And sure enough, the constellation Leo rose just to the right of the Sphinx, behind the Sphinx. But what I thought was interesting was the constellation Virgo, was directly in alignment with the Sphinx. So the star appeared behind the actual Sphinx. Now, what is the Star of Regulus? It's one of the 4 king stars of Persia. In 2011, right before 2012, which is why the Mayan calendar shifts in 2012, it starts to transition over the next 26,000 years into the constellation of Virgo. What's interesting is it actually aligned with Virgo completely, because I was kneeling in front of the Sphinx directly in the eyes. The time of the constellation of Leo was in 10,500 BC, which is when we believe that the last large, massive catastrophe was. So now we're in Pisces, transitioning fully into the age of Aquarius, the age of information. Right now we are in the age of mysticism, which is why Christianity and Islam have a very, very strong hold on the collective consciousness. But here's what I experienced. As I knelt down to stare the Sphinx directly in the eyes. And what I saw was just this massive, massive light flooding the planet. This is what I saw. As I opened my eyes, around the corner comes out a white horse. I have a photo, I'll show it to you in a second. But the horse walked right up to me. And what's interesting is that in Revelations and in Hinduism, the god is Kalki. And in Celtic lore, in almost every single religion, either Jesus or somebody rides in on a white horse to signify change. Not only did I see with my mind's eye the light coming in, but I understood very deeply, in a way that is really hard to describe, that that horse signified a new plane of consciousness. So I took a photo as the horse was walking away. I went about my day after that very normally. I went on the grounds to the pyramids. I spent the entire day on the pyramids. I meditated at all of the pyramids. The whole entire day my body is shaking. I'm thinking it's the coffee, but by the time I lay down, my body is shaking so badly, and I'm not somebody that suffers with anxiety, and I really had to sit with that. And I said, what is happening? I saw a matrix being completely opened up and being downloaded into my body, and it took me till about 4 or 5 o'clock to fall asleep. So here's what I think is going on. I think this is going to be a series of events. I think this is the first one. There are many of us out there, many of you out there, that understand something that's much deeper than you've been able to express. And I understand, because it's really difficult to navigate through that. But now more than ever, I think is the time to open up and become that. I'm not a doom and gloomer. I'm a radical optimist. I'm a spiritual realist, and I love when people come together for the right cause. And so I hope if you're watching this, it meant something to you, and have hope no matter what's happening, because that's exactly what's happening. Be good to yourself.
Thoughts?
He had
Anybody?
a ring on that had the all-seeing eye on it. That was interesting. I don't know if anyone noticed that.
Oh, I noticed it. I pay attention to everything. The problem we have with events like this, and someone says something, it's a lot of press. Everybody wants their piece of the 15-minute fame.
Mm.
And then everybody brings in and what part of planting the seed in your head that something's supposed to happen, and then you go there and magically it happens. And with him, if he's having a hard time sleeping because I downloaded the Matrix a little bit too much. Look, I don't know them from Adam, but I could tell you that the Schumann resonance has been off the damn chart for the last like 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, go take a look at it. I can share an image of it, and I'm not sleeping. And the other night I couldn't sleep. I was tired, and all night long it sounded like a clock radio going off. And I'm like, just tell me what you want. And they didn't want to tell me. It's bizarre what's really happening on this planet right now.
Well, in terms of that one guy though, at the pyramid and the Sphinx, Chris Bledsoe, he briefed the U.S. military over a decade ago that a lady in white approached him and basically said, when the red star of Regulus is over the Sphinx or the pyramids,
that's why I went there.
Right, you're going to see orbs appearing, and this is also going to be when Iran and Israel are trading missiles. And it looks like that has come to pass, and that's probably why that guy was there. And then he did see that alignment right around Easter time, or especially at Easter time, and then a bit later on this year, I think that alignment is holding true. That this is more along the lines of, I think Chris Bledsoe was probably foretold by positive factions what was going to happen, and then here he is on the world stage, getting that recognition today.
Yeah, but on top of that, it's always the same story. Oh, the date has moved.
Yeah,
when things don't like,
With Bledsoe?
I don't know Bledsoe from Adam.
He was actually, there were 2 dates. I don't know if one was his, which was October, or the April October, one was his. And then somebody came in and said, no, it's April. Because he was like, no, it's October.
It's probably October. Like a scientist friend told him that he thought it would line up around April.
Right.
Easter now. And then so
he hasn't changed his dates. It's just,
well, it's not, he hasn't changed it. People have told him different things. He let share what people have told him, and then people are either saying, oh Lord,
here we go again. See, they don't want him talking about it.
No, so people were saying, they were saying to him April, because his initial thing was October. But yet we're now seeing right now in front of our eyes, we're seeing that prophecy which he said in 2022. That
I gotta be truly honest with you. That prophecy could be made any point in time, because these countries were going to fight either way. I will just
quantify it with this right now. What we, the people on this planet, see is we see a rapid fire exchange between Iran and Israel and Iran, missiles in both countries. We haven't seen that. It may have been going on, but we're now actually seeing this.
Yeah, they went from proxies by Iran until, at this point in time, there's so many problems caused by both of those damn countries that let them go kill themselves. The world needs, them, either grow up and play nice in the sandbox or don't play at all. Go home to mom. And it's one of those things where, and I'm not doubting, I like Chris Bledsoe, but I'm tired of people moving the goalposts when it doesn't come to, pan out. I will say, well, I was wrong, but there are certain, I can't go into the details, but there are certain markers now that when you see certain things, one of which is the Schumann resonance, you know, within a certain time frame, you usually have a major earthquake. It's been proven over and over and over again. And if, you know, I'll say major is, 6.9 on up. So again, but the problem with the future is it's fluid. It can change at will because there are so many multiple variables going on that one person, all they have to do is like just cut in front of you, and everything that was supposed to unfold may have been moved up 6 months ahead. Or you do what been doing now, and you mess with timelines, and now we're jumping back and forth the timelines, and we have new Mandela effects. So there's a lot of weirdness that takes place, but I don't doubt Chris's heart is there. But you know what? I'm tired of the goalposts being moved. I'm tired of all these, fake prophets. And
but that's what I wanted to say about Chris is he talked over 10 years ago about rockets flying back and forth between Israel and Iran and the alignment of Regulus, and the pyramids and orbs being seen worldwide coming out of the oceans. And all three of those things, our conditions have been met. So 3 out of 3, I'll take it.
No, and I love this because Edgar Casey said the same thing about the Sphinx.
Right. So there you go. And so now you got more points of agreement. That's wonderful.
Right. And I liked Chris. And to tell you the truth, I really wanted this to come, I wanted like the star to hit a certain point, and all of a sudden the secret door open up and Scooby-Doo go, woo, and they go in there, they get all these documents, they eat Scooby snacks, and then that's the end of the episode. But the people, going back to what we started with it, there are individuals and entities involved that do not want us to find this information. They don't want us to graduate to it. It's unfortunate that Brian knows, and men and women, and sometimes children are involved in this, that at one point were super soldiers. And I don't believe they signed up for that crap. I believe that they were forced into doing things they did not want to do. And we need a different, you can't always have like peace, love, and everybody, out there hugging each other. You need the yin yang mentality. With a lot of peace is always going to be a little evil. And with a lot of evil is always going to be a little peace. And we need to go back to that balance. And that's what I was saying previously about we the people. People are standing up now. These governments are really being put on notice. And if you don't want to be part of the slave races that the Anunnaki wanted to go pick out whatever they got, you better start standing up and paying attention. Otherwise, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Do either you or Brian Singh know a super soldier named Ishmael Perez? Are you familiar with Ishmael?
I am not.
Brian
I'm
is.
sure Brian. But
I'm acquaintances with Ishmael.
Yeah. What is your opinion of his super soldier status and being with the Galactic Federation?
I give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not totally sure about him because nobody that I know who's been in the programs has specific memory of him. Like, oh yeah, I recall him at Montauk, or I remember him in an underground base, or I remember him in space. In general, I don't think the things he says are terrible. He talks about the Anunnaki a lot, but I don't know enough about Ishmael to really comment on his content. He's a nice guy, nice person.
Now, do you know
I think Brooks
about his
actually spoke to him too, Terry, and he said he didn't.
I'm sorry.
What's that?
I think Brooks actually spoke to him too, Terry, and he concurred with Brian Singh.
Yeah, and are you familiar with Valiant Thor?
Oh yeah, well, Valiant Thor, people in our community are still telepathically in contact with him to this day, unless you're dealing with imposters. And via Christopher Jacobs and Joanna Michaels, Christopher we've had on this show, he's a very talented transmedium psychic channeler. He has had Valiant Thor's literally come through and talked about how he's like with I believe a military wing of the Galactic Federation to assist humanity, with the understanding that there are a lot of service to self oriented ETs trying to hijack us the other way. And so the great work for him that he began back in the 50s, Stranger at the Pentagon, and trying to offer humanity a much more spiritually aware path rather than, you know, a warlike synthetic path that they're trying to hurt us down now, the other side. He's still very much active, and he apparently had like a 100-year plan for the awakening of humanity, you know, going back to the 50s, and then they might be speeding it up. So here we are now, is we're really ripe on that cusp for change, and he is still very much in the mix, along with Indrid Cold, the man known as Cold. That's his lieutenant, that's his second in command. And Indrid Cold, again, is appears in a lot of UFO lore going back decades.
Yeah,
Wasn't that the name
Brian,
they used in Mothman Prophecies?
Yes. No, not it's Hellier.
No, the name of the entity that was talking to everyone in the Mothman Prophecies was Indrid Cole.
Yeah, well, it connects to that John Keel, you know.
John Keel. Yep.
Yeah. So something's very interesting. I've always been interested in the subject. I do research and investigation. I've heard of super soldiers at one point, and I've paid more attention to it. I don't know what my role is in that whole thing. I'm not claiming anything, but there are times where it really bugs me out, and I don't know if anybody else has this because we're talking about this subject. I'll go someplace and I have people staring at me as if I'm like that celebrity, like he's over there, like they know me, and it's really unnerving and weird. And then some of them look kind of familiar. I don't forget a face, and the only thing I can think of is ever since hanging out with Brian over here, two Brians. One, have we all been abducted with each other, and we saw each other in that abduction room, and that's why it's registering, which is very plausible. Are we all finally awakening into something we once were and we're connected to? Hence the super soldier program. I'm not a super soldier that I'm aware of. It'd be kind of cool. That'd be very movie-esque of, like, oh my God, look what he can do. Why is dad flipping off the roof?
Yeah, that is kind of a super soldier, Brian. The things that you do are very super soldiers. So you may not refer to yourself as one, but there are different programs, and one is the super soldier program.
100%. But I'm just saying it. Try to pay attention if you can. If someone starts looking at you, and yes, they see, when people see you on YouTube, they think like you're somebody, this big star. Like, oh my God, that's Terry Bradley, and you're like, I'm just want to get eggs, leave me alone, or whatever it is. But when you pass by somebody, and it's just pay attention to those and note that moment, because you may have to go look back in your memory and like, where the hell do we know each other? I mean, I've actually gone up to people I'm with. I'm like, do I have something written on my forehead? That's the look. They're giving you a look. Even my daughter has noticed it. And she's like, they're all staring at you. And yeah, I wear loud shirts, but not enough for you to go and stare at somebody. So
sometimes they come in your own family too. Our Katie Bradley up there. Yeah, she, by the way, was born in New York, by the way.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I'm a New York.
St. Albans Hospital.
St. Albans, Queens. Nice. I'm thinking about Run DMC right now. Mom's cooking college, and but it's very interesting how, and I've always said it, all of us were meant to meet. We made a pact to meet, and this is why I'm here. I'm actually here because Joan and Penny kidnapped me.
We did. We're not giving you back either.
No, you're not. But, you'll be surprised how big your soul family is, or your space family is. And yes, it can be unnerving for a lot of people going on with their lives, because this is like, I didn't want this. You don't always get what you want. You get what you need. And just take it day by day. Ask a lot of questions, like Terry, you're asking Brian, and if I have an issue, I'll ask Brian something or whatever, or Penny or Joan. but this is important. And I think everything's is converging to, I don't know, Brian, would you agree? We're kind of converging to a moment right now. And I think we're all going to witness it. And
Yeah,
then
the timeline split
Yep.
and the shifting, the ascension of humanity, and that's all lining up.
Yeah, and good and evil are fighting each other. Like, no, we're gonna go on A. No, we're going back on B. No, and eventually they're gonna put down the bad portion of everything, and you will get that Hollywood ending.
We'll get that
Almost happily
positive timeline, right?
Yeah, I hope so, because I mean, let's go around the room here in the wheel. I've known many times, like, I don't want to say this with arrogance, but I know that I'm wealthy sometime in a different timeline. I mean, I literally can feel like, where the hell did my money go? Like, why am I here? No,
I say that all the time.
I say, well, I have 2 daughters, so it's like I know where it went. Whatever other sweatshirt was hot or whatever. But the thing is, when you actually experience something, like if you won the lottery, the feeling you would have, I'm free to do what I want to do. That freedom feeling would be with you, and it's with you. Like, I have where is this money? You kind of feel like something's around the corner or whatever. Always try to stay with that feeling. Oh, we have David Zublik in the chat, right?
Oh no, that was me. That was me testing.
Oh, okay, that was you. Okay, sorry.
That
was
no. If you're an admin in here, because it's going on the David Zublik channel, it would be David Zublik commenting.
No, that's fine. I was hoping it would be him, but hi, David.
Oh well,
hi, John.
sorry to disappoint you, but I wanted to say something about what you were talking about, because I had the opposite experience. I lost everything. I mean,
so did I.
Shoot, I had nothing. No job, no money, didn't know where I was going to live, the whole 9 yards. And I went, shoot, I can do anything I want. I got no image to protect.
Exactly.
I don't have to play a game for anybody.
But
it was that same level of freedom that you think you're going to get when you win the lottery.
No, it is that same free. See, what people don't understand is all these other things, these wishes, wills, and wants, and the greed and what excess, that is what's keeping you in chains.
Yeah.
So if you go through a divorce, you're like, oh shit, what am I going to do now? And all you got to say is, screw it, I'm going to make more money somehow. And you make more money.
You say next.
And it's so much freer. Like, I have my friends going like, oh God, I have X amount of dollars in credit card debt. I only have $10 to my name. And I'm like, so what's the problem? And they're like, well, I owe all this money. I'm like, do you have it to give? No. Screw them. Just tell them, like, yeah, I'd like to pay my credit card off, but I got $10 to my name and I want to go buy some eggs. What are they going to do? You can't get blood from a stone. You can't. So stop change your attitude, change your life. That is what I've taught my daughters for the last almost decade. Change your attitude, change your life. Stop paying attention to what everybody else around you is doing and what their opinion is. You'll be a slave to them. Just do your thing. My youngest, who I love to death, she's like, Daddy, take the comments off your video because people are saying nasty things about you. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. Their opinion means nothing to me. And like Joan, I've been sent back to 0 so many times.
Ditto.
It sucks. But I have my faith in God, whether he's an alien or not. And I keep doing right for others. And I won't stop doing it.
I think everyone in here in this room right now is that person. We've all been taken to 0 a million times. I walked away from my 26-year relationship with 4 boxes of clothes, and then those 4 boxes of clothes got taken from me. And I continue to build, and by the grace of God, people assisting me so that I didn't end up totally homeless trying to run the show out of my truck. I have continued and I've persisted, and God has provided people to assist me with that, and it is a miracle. And I'm just privileged to be able to be here with you all to do the things that I'm doing right now. And I must say, I could not do it without you. I think that we are all finding our tribes, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you. We're almost out of time right now. So, Brian Bowden, where can people find you?
Federal prison. Probably on SA watch list. You can find me every Wednesday night on my own YouTube channel, Brian Bowden, Bryan. Why? Because I like you, Bowden. I broadcast Third Eye Live, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then I'm on social media. Just say, hey, I saw you on Agent X11, or I saw you on Awake Nation. And because I need a frame of reference, like, who are you people? I just got contacted by someone this morning with Awake Nation, and they were asking me to do a quick reading, how much I charge. I just did it. I don't always charge everybody. If I can help you, I'm going to help you. And that's where you can find me. And I'm going to be here because my kidnappers are here.
That's right. Thank you so much, Brian. And Katie Bradley, where can people find you?
I just wanted to make a quick comment. So with the medical background, I always look at evidence-based as far as, giants and such. And we have, like endocrine disorders or, disease. There's Marfan's disease, and then there's gigantism, and some off of that perspective. I just kind of wonder when they're trying to integrate, when the Anunnaki or whoever trying to integrate into the population, if they're coming out through those type of folks. So you can find me on Terry, I'll do it. David Zublik channel, Awake Brew Crew, Agent X11, Penny L.A. Shepherd, Hollywood Dark Journalist, True Crime, Patriots Crossroads, Life with Joan, Zero Footprint, Brian Sang Presents, Dr. U's Universe, Get Mosley, Seeking Grace, The Transcendent American Spirit, Trauma Triage Team, Life with Joan, and Damn Straight. And I'm Katie Bradley at XKBT143.
Okay, I hate to tell you, but I'm adding another show.
Well, good.
Friday, I am adding Judge Joe Brown. And at the present, I'm calling this Deadly Foolishness. His first episode is going to be tomorrow. He's also on the Damn Straight Show. Sorry, guys. I'm adding another one. Because we expand with the universe as well. I did want to say that there are some tall people that we know that I don't think actually have tall man's disease, which I'm not sure of. But one would be Baron Trump. And then the other is going to be on Awake Nation tomorrow. And that's George Webb. He's very tall. The first thing I said to him when I saw him and I gave him a hug, I was like, "You're really tall." He's like, "I'm sorry." And I said, "No, it's all right." And then he sat down because he's that tall. And I said, "Well, I will get you a very nice cup of coffee because I make a really good cup of cappuccino." So with that being said, Brian Singh, where can people find you?
Yeah. Well, I would say Brad Olson is also really tall.
True.
Then I wanted to also say, this is the first episode that we've gotten to do since Nick Pope passed.
Yes.
He's part of the disclosure community. I won't say full disclosure because he had a lot of non-disclosure agreements that he himself said that he had, and he couldn't talk about lots of things, which is crazy frustrating. But we all still loved him anyway, and he did a lot for the movement. And unfortunately, the jabs may have played a role. I think that's just me personally. Neither here nor there, I guess, now for this announcement. But we should memorialize his passing, and rest in power, Nick Pope.
Yes, absolutely.
In terms of finding me, try to reach out directly with me on Facebook still so far, especially if you are mission oriented. Sending me lots of links and information. I get a lot of that, but if you're someone who's more action oriented, you want to, you're a star seed, you want to assist somebody, anything like that. Find me on Facebook, Brian Sang, the SolarBee, and message me directly, please. Thank you.
Yes, and also if you want to contact Brian or anyone on this show, you can text my phone directly at 619-779-9771. I am kind of an agent. Not that kind of an agent, but whatever. And I will make sure that anyone that you need to contact, which is affiliated with any of our shows, I'll make sure that message gets through. And again, the number is 619-779-9771. Joan Renee, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me just about everywhere that Katie Bradley listed. And you can also find, and of course, Trauma Triage is on Wednesday, David Zublik Tuesdays and Thursdays, but right now, Monday through Friday, until we get another co-host. And
Right.
yes, just saying. And then also, you're going to do Terry, right? Because she does your big, long.
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not going to go there.
And I will say, if you would like to be a co-host, please text my phone at 619-779-9771. If there's anyone who thinks that they know somebody that would be an excellent co-host. And we do daily shows. So we do the news from 7 to 8, that's Eastern, and from 8 to 10. And I can put you on alternate, days. We need support. So you can support us that way as well. Joan?
And we also appreciate all of the people that we are picking up viewers. Please tell your friends and share with everyone. We just noticed that our viewership is picking up, so we appreciate that. We love every one of you. And you can also find me on Joan Renee 27 on X. So go to Joan Renee 27 on X and follow me there, and you'll see some of these shows there as well.
Terry?
And that's it.
Yes. And I'll repeat that too. Please like, subscribe, and share, because you can find us on X, Rumble, BitChute, and YouTube at David Zublik. So for more podcasts like these, donate to PayPal through shepherdentertainment@gmail.com. That's shepherdentertainment@gmail.com. And for more information, go to the website shepherd-entertainment.com. And as Katie said, you can reach her or I on X at KBT143. Again, like, subscribe, and share.
Thank you so very much, Terry. And please do, please watch The Awake Nation. Again, we are on the David Zubik channel. We're also on the Agent X11 channel. And like, share, and subscribe. And that's important to us. That's how we get this word out there. Unfortunately, none of us is getting paid at this time. I would like to remedy that sometime this year. And if you'd like to be a sponsor, please contact me again at 619-779-9771. Please leave your first and last name if you'd like to be a guest on any of our shows, and tell me why you think that you would make a good guest or why you think you would make a good co-host. This is the full disclosure now involves all of us. Okay. It doesn't just involve one person. It involves a community of whistleblowers and truth tellers that are speaking about all of the things that we need disclosure on. So thank you so very, very much for all that you do. And unfortunately, we are out of time. So we are out of here. Shepherd out.
SolarBee out.
Bradley out.
Bradley out.
Odin out.
And Renee out.
Goodbye for now from Agent X11, Hollywood dark journalist, a shining light in this darkened world.
don't forget to watch the Wake Nation News 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Eastern on the David Zublick channel on Rumble, followed by our main show, David Zublick's Awake Nation, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday.